again. What do you expect President Trump to do about this?
Well, good morning. I hope that he will listen, because the oil executives are going to give him some numbers, and the numbers are going to surprise him from what I can see. The biggest oil importing source of oil for the U.S. is actually Canada, and the second highest is Mexico. These have nothing to do with OPEC. So if he will listen to them, then they will probably tell him that the U.S. imports a lot of oil and exports products. Imports 8 million barrels of oil and exports about 9 million barrels of products. So the trade is very important for the industry in the U.S. The U.S. production itself is very light oil, condensates, NGLs. They're not good for producing the exported products. So I hope he will be listening to them, because they have, I'm sure, some very stark numbers for him.
But Sudad, clearly there is always a global price for oil, and that's what's putting pressure on U.S. producers at the moment. What ultimately do you think is the incentive of the Saudis at the moment? Is it to temporarily keep prices down so that in due course OPEC and Russia cut production to put prices meaningfully back up again? Or do you think the Saudis really are trying to put large swathes of U.S. production and other global producers out of business for the long term?
Well, very important points. This is a worldwide issue. It's not about the U.S. It's not about Saudi Arabia or Russia. Oil demand has collapsed, basically. We're looking, a lot of consultants have different numbers, but we're looking at about 15 million barrels loss of demand. So when you have numbers like that, there isn't any single country that can fix that problem. This requires a collective cooperation from all the major producers plus others. And the only way to separate which fields and which production should be continuing on beyond this crisis and which ones should not should be the economics. The main criterion that can be applied worldwide is basic economics. If you put a ceiling of about $40 or $45 for production, any oil that is above that cost, it should probably be mothballed or shut down until we get through this crisis, because nobody can fix a loss of demand of 15 million barrels in this very tragic situation, which is not even controlled by economics. It's all by the pandemic of the coronavirus. Anyway, I think this is what everybody is hoping to achieve.
Sorry to cut you off, but obviously the demand drop-off is a huge driver right now, and the coronavirus is taking a huge toll economically. But, I mean, even the Saudis have come out and said they are increasing their production here, and we've seen this price war between Saudi Arabia and Russia. Are you suggesting that that's not having an impact on the price of oil?
What I'm saying is there are several points, but what I'm saying is it's not about the oil war or any oil kind of confrontation between countries. The markets cannot handle the amount of oil that's out there, and the Saudi oil is the cheapest, least costly oil. Now, we've tried to work with every country in OPEC and outside of OPEC, and I'm just a consultant, so I'm just following all of this, and I can see that there hasn't been any response. Even now, when the U.S. Looks at the oil problem, they consider everybody else's oil as being somehow invading U.S. markets. It's not like that. The U.S. consumes 21 million barrels and only produces 13. So it's not as if people are taking market share or trying to underprice U.S. oil. It's a collective market. Everybody, the high-cost oil, has to come out of the market. That's the only way we can drop 15 million barrels.
I mean, still, it's certainly out there. And, a senator from Alaska this morning on Squawk Box said that this could actually jeopardize our strategic relationship, the U.S. and Saudi Arabia, if Trump, wants to put pressure on the Saudis. How ultimately do you think this is going to reshape the geopolitical landscape? U.S. and Saudi Arabia, U.S. and Russia, and then OPEC versus Russia. Can anybody make a deal with each other here?
I wish it was as simple as making deals. There's a global demand issue and a global economic recession, and the only way that we can fix the markets is by restoring global growth, economic growth. The strategic issues, everybody has the same objective, economic welfare of the world. Nobody's trying to undermine anybody. The relationships are all healthy between Saudi Arabia and the U.S. for sure, between Russia and Saudi Arabia. There's no issues. It's not a strategic confrontation. It's an attempt to collectively resolve the economic problems of the world. And cheap oil, by the way, is the only way to go. Right after this crisis, that's what everybody's going to look for. And even the U.S. has fantastic opportunities, but the more expensive marginal oil everywhere, whether it's in the U.S. or Russia or in Saudi Arabia even, will be shut down.